Hi, my name's Cris. Welcome to my ePortfolio. I am an international teacher and technology facilitator. While originally from Canada, I've been teaching overseas in Hong Kong and Singapore for the last 5 years. This ePortfolio is an overview of my time spent in the University of British Columbia's Master of Educational Technology program. I'm going to walk you through how I designed my website and why I organized my ideas in the way that I did. So the homepage of my ePortfolio is autobiographical information about myself. I wanted to introduce my face right away to the viewer so you have an understanding of who designed this site. I've chosen a really simple template to use because there's so much information included on this site. I didn't want the template or design or graphics to sort of distract the viewer from all the information. So alongside my autobiographical information, if you scroll down on the home page or the overview page of my ePortfolio, I've also included a clear purpose for this ePortfolio, a specific audience of who may get something away from this ePortfolio, and of course, how I've decided to organize the website. Instead of using a metaphor that shows perhaps growth, as in the transformation of a butterfly or a metaphor in that nature, I've instead chosen the ISTE standards as a way to ground the learning that I've done over the over the course of the MET program. I did this because I didn't see my learning as this linear sort of growth of learning. I acquired a lot of information and knowledge in different bursts, and I would often go back to new learning several times over different courses. And so instead of showing a chronological growth system, I decided to show how throughout the program I was able to explore these 7 competencies for 21st century learning. Also on this overview page, I have embedded a Google form as a form of feedback or assessment for this ePortfolio in hopes that I could get some feedback from my peers and instructor and apply that to improving my ePortfolio as a whole. At the bottom of each page, I have included APA references for any images or work or references theory that have been cited within the page. So that's my overview page. If I go up to the top header under artifacts and reflections, I've created 7 subcategories, which are those ISTE standards that I mentioned previously. So empowered learner, digital citizen, knowledge constructor, innovative designer, computational thinker, creative communicator, and global collaborator are the competencies that I'll explore through the different artifacts and reflections I've created. So I'm going to click on one as an example and walk through how I organize each of these sub-pages. So let's start with digital citizen. At the top of each of these sub-pages, I've included the definition for that competency to get a better understanding of what exactly this characteristic means. So for a digital citizen, ISTE defines this as students being able to recognize the rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of living, learning, and working in an interconnected digital world, and they act and model in ways that are safe, legal, and ethical. Now, this is a great example of a topic that was explored over numerous courses within the MET program. It's not something I learned in one course and then never went back to. There's been continuous growth throughout the program. So the subheadings within my subpages include the artifact and then later on application to practice. So I've selected artifacts that really showcase this characteristic that's outlined by the ISTE standards. And what I've done is given some background information about what was learned in the course the artifact is from, maybe theories that really stood out to me or resonated with me and that I've really found useful in my own practice. So after giving some background, and here I've even included a diagram that I created on one of the readings, I've then embedded some sort of assignment or activity as my artifact. So in this case, this was a paper I wrote about copyright infringement, and you can see how that would be clearly linked to this idea of digital citizenship. Now, as an addition to just reflecting on the article, I've also, for each artifact, included how I applied this learning to my actual practice. Now, when I started the master's program, I was just beginning a job as a technology coach at an international school. And so a huge portion of my job was about helping teachers employ digital citizenship within their classrooms. So here I've included as my application to practice a presentation that I created for teachers based on the learnings that I had done in my course. So one of the main readings was about 21st century pirates. And so you can see I took on this theme for my PD slideshow. And so you can click through and see exactly how I've applied this theory to my own practice. Also within the application to practice section, I've included tweets or social media posts that show how I've connected to other educators on the different topics that are discussed. Again, I followed the same pattern for my second artifact. I have background into some of the theory or readings that we learned in the course. Here I've embedded one of my assignments, which was a video I created on copyright. And of course, I then have the application to practice. So here, this really shows my progress in digital citizenship, because I went from just having a presentation for teachers to actually redesigning the entire professional development system at the school to gamify it and provide teachers with many practical solutions or ways they can promote digital citizenship within their practice. Now, all of these things that I've reflected on, I've included links for other teachers to share and copy and reuse for their own purposes. Again, here, a social media post that shows me presenting my new findings to our staff. And this sort of pattern continues on through all my different artifacts. And as previously mentioned, any references, any sources that were cited within this page will be referenced at the bottom. This same pattern is continued on each of these subcategories. I'll quickly walk through this one to show how this continues. So at the top, I have the ISTE definition. I have an artifact. I've embedded an artifact from one of my courses. I've reflected then on how I specifically applied it to my practice and have social media postings to support it. The way I organize my artifacts on each subpage is chronologically. So although all of the artifacts placed back to back are not chronologically ordered, within each subpage they are. And this was intentionally done to show my progress within this one characteristic of 21st century learning. My references page includes a Creative Commons label, which states that other educators can take any of the content that I've posted in my ePortfolio and reuse it for their own purposes. And it also is where I've included all of the references from all of my different subpages. I included it in a separate tab just to make it easier to see all of the different works that were cited, all the different theories that I reflected on, and citations of my own work in case someone else wants to reuse it. They can easily give me attribution. This was a really effective learning process for me. I think I learned a lot about how much I've grown throughout this program. I think while I was completing my courses, I understood all of the different new theories and things I had been exposed to, but it wasn't until I took the time to actually write about what has impacted me the most did I really see how much I really took away from the different courses that I did. I feel prepared to promote these 21st century skills with my own students because I myself had to be in that situation of being a student the past 3 years. So thank you so much for visiting my ePortfolio, and please don't hesitate to connect with me on Twitter or look up my professional profile on LinkedIn. So thank you very much.